And we are back this week with your amazing race, season 34, episode 10, Pit Stop. I am joined by the impeccable, the amazing, the winner of season 29, Brooke Camhi.
The
Heck,
pajama clad. We're doing this one
okay.
in our jammies.
We love it. Well, first of all, we are recording on Thanksgiving to give
Yes,
the
happy Thanksgiving
posse.
to you and
Okay.
everybody. I know you won't hear it on Thanksgiving, but happy Thanksgiving.
I mean, listen, it's all the same. We have a great episode
Yes.
for you to unpack. I thought last night's episode was really good. I was
Yeah.
excited. I was going to watch it this morning, but I was like, you know what? I'm watching it last night, and I'm glad that I watched it last night. Because I remember last week we were like, oh my God, we're having such a love fest. Like, we need things to talk about that we don't like. So I was
I've got
trying to
grapes.
sort of
Mhm.
pay in close attention, and I couldn't really find that many things to watch. But
Don't
I
worry,
do
I did. It's
okay.
fine.
I did find one thing towards the end, and I felt like it was the editors, but we can talk about that when we get there.
Fair
Were
enough.
you
Yeah.
no, because I know that you're home now. I
Mhm.
just also posse. We just met Papa and Mama Cam High. Like Brooke was like, my parents really want to meet you. And I was like, oh my God, I want to meet them too. And Brooke was like, Mom, Dad, do you want to meet Brice? And like, first of all,
like a stampede up the stairs to
first
come to the childhood bedroom to meet you. Yeah.
you would have thought they were like in the room. All I heard was Mama Cam High. Yes. I was like, oh. So I just met the family. It's giving Thanksgiving. But yeah, my question was,
Mm.
were you able? Because we know Brooke. If you know Brooke, you know she. The episode could be 10 minutes. She got 37 notes. Were you able to take notes at home?
So my family was ready to kill me. We watched it live, except I would pause it several times to take notes, and I was like, I'm really sorry, I have to take notes. It's for the podcast. So I've got my legal pad full of the notes for the thing. And so I think I was reasonable. They're chicken scratchy and hard to read because I was trying not to pause for too long, but they let me pause to take notes. So the family was understanding.
So actually, that actually gives me another question because you know the posse don't know how dedicated you are to this.
Hmm.
Normally, when you are in your condo in the city, how long will you pause for?
No, I'll watch it twice usually. I'll watch it once for enjoyment, and then I'll watch it the second time. I'm such a nerd to like pause and take notes. And so an hour episode will probably take me double the second time just so I can write stuff down because I want anyone who hasn't seen it to feel informed like they were there. We try and paint a picture with our words.
Okay, yes, come on, Picasso Cam High.
Thank you.
So for me, like, I guess I do similar. I always will do a second watch, but for me, like during the first watch, I'll just make bullet points. It'll be
Mhm.
like the randomest thing that I see, and then I'll just like write that down, and then that kind of sort of helps me jog my memory.
Will one of your bullet points be "this is bullshit"? Because I did write that somewhere. I shouldn't say that. I just let me say this. In our episode 10, we were in the middle of rural Vietnam on a one-gear bicycle and we rode about 30 miles if you didn't get lost in 105-degree heat, struggling to breathe. One of Floyd from my season was literally medevaced out of the competition with heat exhaustion. It was grueling. These people are driving sexy Audis through like the Spanish beautiful countryside with, I mean, it's an Audi. It has air conditioning. It has all the bells and whistles. There were probably snacks in the glove compartment. We were like dying on our own sweat, but it's fine. Gripe. This is gripe. We talked last week about gripes. Gripe number one is I'm just jealous of the fact that they got to drive sexy Audis and we got to drive one-gear bicycles and damn near died. So
I mean,
I'll try and be more positive.
some can say
Hence
gripe.
this is bullshit.
Some call it a gripe, other call it enjoyment. If we get to watch Lewis and Michelle driving with the top down, I'll take it every day of the week. Also, another thing for me to remember in this episode, a couple that we might have said has been in the background. I really feel like this episode, they get my full enjoyment and love, and we can get there when we get there. But listen, Brooke Camhi,
Yeah.
take it away.
Okay. So this is the second half of the mega leg. So you've already done one roadblock, one detour, one city. And as we left last week, you had three of the teams. You had Derek and Claire, Lewis and Michelle, and Aubrey and David driving their sexy Audis through Spain to go to Ronda, Spain, we found out, which is about 90 minutes. Just like last time, the mega leg, the two cities were about an hour and a half apart. So they had to get to Rhonda, Spain, which is like the summer getaway of Ernest Hemingway and Orson Welles, and they have to find this lady on this bridge holding the Andalusian flag to get their clue.
Now,
Yeah.
first of all, Brooke, this is how proud that you would be. Because first of all, when they were like, find your tour guide, and I was like, oh God, another one of those people with the tour guide. But then when I think it was maybe Lewis and Michelle, when they got there, first of all, I kind of sort of felt very proud of myself, but I also was like, okay, I shouldn't be this excited because I'm watching this 2:00 in the morning. But I said to myself, well, that's actually not like, normally it's just a red or green flag. I was like, that's actually a flag. And so I just in my
You were smart enough
head,
to pay attention. Correct. That is
I,
good. Because
bro,
some of these dingbats just didn't pay attention to what was going on. And my whole family, like, we're not a quiet people, Camhis, but everyone was like, how did you not pay attention to that flag? That's crazy. Oh my God. And so, anyway, the tour guide was holding a flag, the flag. Just remember that. You'll need that later in the episode. The same day, by the way. It's not like they're being asked to recall something from leg one. I cannot wait for the memory challenge at the end of the season, because if these yo-yos can't remember a flag from the same day, I struggle to believe that they are going to not have a problem with the final memory task of the season. So anyway, it was find this lady on this bridge holding this flag. So the day starts out, Derek and Claire they're snippy. Like, they are frustrated. They're a little bit snappy at each other. Derek goes the wrong way and has to do like a 32-point turn around, to the point where the TV goes black and it says 5 minutes later. Like, he is turning for that long, which I think is kind of hilarious. It was legitimately boop, boop.
And then it was like, they also had one of the smart cars, because like when he got back to the curve, it's like beep, 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 beep. But
my mom's car does that. It's so annoying. I hate
mind you, so does mine. But also, like, my car will actually physically, like, if it gets so close, it will physically stop.
Huh. Okay.
So, but mind you, so sometimes I'll just take my foot off the brake and, like, like, just let my car back up. But it's like, but it sounds like it's like hitting something, but it's really not. But anyway, I kind of sort of felt Derek in this moment where, like, they were on their way to my girlfriend Rhonda's house, and they were like, we don't know. And like, instead, sometimes you just have to like follow your instinct, because it really, your instinct is real. And so when he turned down that corner, he was getting a little frustrated. Then he was like, I gotta back up. I just kept saying to myself at so many points, I'm like, I've been to Spain. I've driven in Spain. I'm like, and especially in the area that they're at, like, I ain't just backing up at any street turn. Like, and I was just like, oh, of course he will back up right here and there. But I appreciate Derek and Claire for their communicational skills, even when they're frustrated. Like,
until later in the episode, when I think their communication is, there's like, we'll talk about it later. But in that moment, I liked it. Even when I like Claire a lot, because later in the episode, she just basically tells someone to shut up. And I felt that. I felt that moment because I've had that moment on the race. So I felt that for her. So you have them. They're a little bit lost. Then you have Aubrey and David, who are the only team who hasn't won a leg yet. But David reminds us all that you only need to win one. Correct. Or two. Just saying.
And also, first of all, did you get into Michelle this episode driving the car? I'm like, girl, why did they not have her driving the whole time? Like, the way she was just like, I was like, okay, Michelle.
They were feeling themselves. The two of them were they were adorable. I wrote, they go the right way right away. They're adorable. They're happy. They're upbeat. They get where they're going first. They're destined to have a good episode. I feel like they were very positive. They were very fun. Even if they were frustrated, they were still doing very well together. And while this is all happening, you have Emily and Molly, who are still making fish, because that's hard. I'm so angry about this fish task. Like, gripe number 2. I'm angry about this fish task because you didn't have to do anything except stick a couple of fish on a grill.
Yeah, I was a little confused by that, but and also, like, maybe a little pet peeve of mine. I know it's, we on the second half of the Mega Lakes, but I want to see everybody eat the fish. Like, don't rob me because the last two teams, then all you do is get the guy giving a thumbs up. I like the eating challenges. I wanted to see them eat the fish.
I would like to see them have to eat more things, especially how they grossed out. They got out from like some fish, like I don't know. Anyway, so they get in their sexy outie, and then you have Marcus and Michael, who seem to finish the fish task really fast, but it might be exactly what you said. The editors were like, nah, that was last week. We're not going to deal with it. And Michael says they have to be flawless in navigating this leg, which leads me to believe they are in trouble, foreshadowing. And he does make another reference to basically pushing Emily down to get to where they need to go faster, which I think is fantastic. Page 1. Chicken scratch. Okay. So now everyone's
multiple pages.
Oh,
go ahead.
There's 4. I'm a nutshell.
Okay.
Anyway, everyone's in their sexy outie except for Lewis and Michelle, who get to the clue box first, and they're very, very cute and they're very, very excited. And it's the detour where it says bend over backwards or dress for success. Now, and I also think this is another fairly unequal detour.
1,000%.
Mhm.
And okay,
Mhm.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, go.
No, I'm just gonna say, I 1,000% did not feel like it's fair, and of course, who picks the? But anyway, I digress.
It's okay. It's okay. It's hard when only one team does one side of a detour and
But I
everybody
also
else
would have
does the
felt
other.
like, sorry, this is my also little gripe for
Yes!
Michael and Marcus.
Yes, get in the gripe train.
Where y'all got, first of all, when y'all got to where y'all was going, and you could clearly see no other one
Had been done.
been done, y'all should have turned into Lewis and Michelle in that moment. Switch. But
Agreed.
anyway, I also
100% agree.
I have my thoughts about that when the notes allow us to get there.
The notes are fluid, man. You can go wherever you need to go.
Okay, so this is what I was. Well, no, I'll wait until a little further down.
Okay, so in bend over backwards, in case you didn't see it, you were basically given like half an arch, and they put this wooden like mold thing in the arch, and you had to build the rest of the arch with bricks and stones. And when the judge thought it was good enough, he would pull the mold out, and if your arch stayed up without collapsing, you got your clue. So I mean, I was impressed with Marcus and Michael. At one point, Marcus was using the palm of his hand as a hammer, like to hammer a brick into place. Like that could not have been easy. They were basically pulling a Lewis and beasting through the physical challenge. So I was very impressed with that.
But to be clear, it wasn't a hammer like an ice cube. It wasn't no ice cube hammer, but it was a hammer
on a brick. Like
I mean, but listen, did you see Lewis in the first episode with that? Like, listen,
well, I'll never forget that. I'm gonna send that to you as like little gifts in the future of just hammering the ice. So, and in Dress for Success, they had to go and watch a flamenco dancer, and get a sample flamenco dancer ready. There you go, in her outfit costume to dance. Now, I have to say, not a gripe, because I was very impressed with this particular detour, and I'll tell you why. I heard from Lewis that you had to stand at least 6 rows back.
I could tell from the little chairs on the episode.
You could not bring any piece of costume into the demonstration room. And if you had a piece of if you watched the demonstration and then went back up to your model and took a piece of something, you had to go right back to the store. And the store was not near, it was not at the location. So you had to run to a store. You had to pick one set of everything. You couldn't take more than one. If you were wrong, you had to take the wrong things back, exchange them, not for money, but you can only have one thing at a time, and then come back and redress your model. So it was a little bit more than just dress a model, and the model was dancing the entire time. So you couldn't ask her to stop. You couldn't walk around her. You had to wait for her to turn. So I thought this was a bit harder, and like, thumbs up to that, because the challenges so far have been unreasonably easy, I think.
I mean,
as I sit on my couch with my drink and watch it, like, who am I? Right.
But no, I thought it was great. I definitely would have picked this challenge. And I think on average, I would have been, in my mind, going into this, like, if whoever was my partner, sometimes I imagine you're my partner, sometimes I imagine it's Wendell, sometimes I imagine it's like my friend Travis. I would have just went into the mindset of like, you know what? We're not going to get on the first try. Like, whatever you're thinking. Like, so it's like, try to get as close and as possible. And I also thought, like, you know what? Somebody take the top half. I take the bottom half, and we can kind of sort of work around that. But again, when you're in the heat of the moment, it's a lot to go on.
And that's what Lewis and Michelle did, where she's like, I'll look at the top, you look at the bottom. They did a very good job. They missed it on the first try. They had the flower on the wrong side of the hair and something with the shawl. They had the wrong shawl. Now the flower, I totally understand. This girl's spinning. So
Right.
it's sort of might be hard to see, oh, the left versus the right. And once they realized that they had the wrong shawl, they got it right and they were out of there first. So that was good for they it was their day to lose.
Team Miami. Team
And they did themselves a
Miami.
little like
the little
dance break. I'm told they did a dance break every episode, but this is the first one they aired. So very cute.
That's not surprising, okay? Because Lewis will slide across the thing. And even how, first of all, I kind of figured that they had been doing that because when Lewis was like, okay, dance break, Michelle just stopped everything that she was doing. And she said, first of all, I need me a Team Miami shirt. Okay. I don't know if they like stuff together, but I need me a little Team Miami. If not, I'm gonna make one myself because
we'll see what I'll see what we can do about that. We should get ourselves some shirts. We need swag. So David and Aubrey and Derek and Claire are basically working together the entire leg. I'm okay with it. If you're in the middle, you're just trying to get some strong team out, which now we'd realize that it's not about helping David and Aubrey. It's about getting rid of Marcus and Michael, which I really like them. So I don't feel great about it, but I do feel great about it because strategy, and I like strategy in The Amazing Race. So great. Sorry.
But this is where I will say is that my love for David and Aubrey kicked in because they really felt as though on the fish challenge, Derek telling them to salt the fish. Okay. First of all, y'all know Brooke is home because that was a house phone. Okay. And my parents still have a house phone. And I'm like, why do y'all like who? And I don't know if your parents are like my parents. My mom will pick it up.
Oh, my mom will pick it up. And normally, I can't hear this in my room, but if you're downstairs, you will hear call from, and it will say,
say the number. And then it's like sometimes I'll be feeling like, I don't know if you ever get those calls on your phone where you be like, hello, and it's like 2 seconds. It's like, hi.
Oh,
how? And I'll always be wondering, like, I wonder if my mom, like, if like they get my mom with that. But anyway,
I sometimes engage these people where they're like, we're calling about your car's warranty, and I'm like, what kind of car do I drive? And they're like, we don't have that information. I'm like, well, then you're not real. Goodbye. Like this.
I can't.
Sometimes I like to.
Sometimes I do, but sometimes with the recordings, it's like, when you be like, hello, and then it's like 30 seconds.
Hi, my name is Amy. And I'm like, your name is not Amy. You are a robot. Like, you do not have a name. Like, stop it.
But listen, AI intelligence is coming a long way. But back to David and Aubrey, like, I really appreciated them this go round because, I mean, last year, Kayla and Raquel, they would have been keeping it to themselves. And also, another thing in this challenge that I loved, and again, of course, y'all gonna be like, Brice, you just love everything Lewis and Michelle do. I do, but no. When Aubrey and David and first of all, we should name Derek, Claire, Aubrey, David. Claire, David, Aubrey. I don't know what's a good nickname for them. Big Brother, Dance Brother, or
Dance Brother. Okay.
Okay, because they're dancers and Big Brother, so Dance Brother. So when Dance Brothers arrive and Lewis and Michelle are coming back because they had the shawl, did you peep how Lewis, like, if this is the shawl and they're running back, Lewis was like, because again, this has been such a friendly season. I love the fact that Lewis was like, not today. Get somebody else to do it.
Yep, I agree. I saw it. I liked it. I made a note on it, like, way to hide it. He wasn't going to let the fringes fly, because if I'm Derek and Claire, I'm like, what are you carrying? What's wrong? Like, yes, I saw that.
Also, he walked, right, mind you, when he had the shawl chucked in, he run it by. He like, keep it going, guy. Like, still friendly competition. I loved it, but I said, okay, Lewis, we see you. But back to David and Aubrey.
Go.
No, I was saying, like, what I appreciate about them. Again, first of all, I'm just a loyal person at times. And no, not at times. I am a loyal person to a fault. But, if you help me out, you rock with me, I rock with you. That's it. And I just really liked the fact that it wasn't even as though, like, David and Aubrey felt as though they needed to help Derek and Claire. you could just tell that that's the type of people that they are. Because when they were there helping and Derek and Claire had to go back, I mean, Aubrey was practically going to sit there and wait for them to like, and Davis like, I mean,
Derek.
Derek was like, no, just go. But like, I just appreciated that, like,
I did too, where the instinct was not to abandon them. The instinct was to say, let me see what you have, help them very quickly. And then she was like, do you want us to wait? Which was polite. But if Derek and Claire had said yes, I would have been like, no. You don't do that to somebody else. But I like that there was the kindness to be like, do you want us to wait? And later in the episode, they actually caught up to each other anyway. So it worked out nicely. But I do like the fact that it wasn't like, because Lewis and Michelle said that with Derek and Claire earlier, if we finish before you, we're leaving you later. Just we're letting you know. And that's fine.
I just feel like I love David and Aubrey. And sometimes if you don't put yourself first, so I am definitely predicting that it's not going to be David or Aubrey, just because I feel like, and I love them. I have come to the conclusion that I like that what they did and how they repaid with that. I loved it, but I just feel like there's more of a competitive edge between Lewis and Michelle, Derek and Claire, and Molly and Emily.
I agree.
And like, again, that is no shade to David and Aubrey, but I'm just saying that, like, I just feel like, but if they were to win, I would be like, yes, like
also fine.
But I'm just saying, like, I feel like in that moment, I was like, oh, they're probably not going to win because like they're too like, as opposed to like Derek and Claire, they still in it. We know Lewis is in it, and Molly knee might not be in it.
Right?
Emily's knee might not be in it. But
how they're still doing, given her knee. Okay, yes, agree. So anyway, so Emily and Molly take a wrong turn on their way to the Flamingo Peak for the detour.
And I was like, y'all just ain't never going to turn right. Like,
well, so I started laughing because their chyron at the bottom of the screen says long lost twins. And I was just like, yeah, they're always lost, like lost twins. Like, it's very funny to me because they get lost every episode. And yet when they get to the challenges, they do so well that they keep themselves in it. So fine. And then you have Marcus and Michael who are bringing up the rear, but it doesn't look like they're that far behind. But what do we know? Because, editing. Yeah. So anyway, so at the detour, the dress and the flamenco dance, you have Lewis and Michelle, who we already talked about, and they got out of there first. Then you have David and Aubrey, who get out of there second because they had the castanets correct, but they help Derek and Claire before they go and tell them the right castanets. You have Derek and Claire, and then you have Emily and Molly, who went to the dress for success, and you have Marcus and Michael, who went to the what's it called? Bend over backwards. That one. That's what it looks like, where the bricks had to be around this mold. And then once they were good, they pulled out the mold. And if it stayed in place, who was calling? If it stayed in place, then you were good to go. Now, this I thought was very cool. Like, I would like to try and do this, but it did not look particularly easy. And if you weren't very, very muscly and had the ability to use your hand as a hammer, I don't know that anybody else would have been able to do this, honestly. Maybe David.
And there was a point where I think Marcus, they realized it's not even about the, like, of course you need two rocks in between, but they actually have to be the right size rock to fit in the hole.
Yeah, to keep the bottoms together while the tops were not together.
But this, while they were doing this, is when I realized that they were going to lose.
Yeah.
And I feel like we don't know what the editing was giving, but I feel like in real time, they had to have been hours behind because it was like, I believe it was Michael, because Michael is the younger brother who I just love. I love his snarkiness. They were just kind of like giving the energy of, we finished strong. We're like, so it was like just very the overall arching of them was just given like, we don't think we know, but it was, we have to end strong.
Yeah, I mean, they stayed positive the entire time. I really loved that. I think the fact that they were that they were constantly, I think, is the fact they didn't see anybody all day. I mean, they went to the detour that nobody else had done. And if they realized that none of the other archers were done, maybe that would have lit a little fire going. Maybe there are still people at the other side. But when they got to the roadblock, which was next, and there still wasn't anybody there, I think at that point they sort of knew that what's done is done, but let's stay positive. And I liked their attitude. I like the fact. So let's talk about the roadblock. So everyone had to go to this roadblock. They had to find this wood carver who gave them their next clue, which just says, who's been paying attention? So everybody thinks it's a memory task. Great. Memory task is balance over this 300 feet over this gorge on this like tightrope. And yes, what Michelle is doing. And then take the clue with the right flag on it. Now, gripe with the contestants, with the whole thing. Earlier this episode, you had to find a lady holding the Andalusian flag. This flag is green and this flag is white. It is like one of the only flags in the world that doesn't have a red or an orange or some other primary color on it, right? And so, yeah, I'm now thinking of other flags. I think there's only one that doesn't have red, white, or blue on it. It's Jamaica. So anyway, the point of my story is this flag is distinct, right? And so they have to go over this gorge and they have to choose between 5 flags. The other 4 flags look nothing like this flag.
And one of them is the U.S. flag.
Right. One's U.S., one's like Cuba. Like they look nothing. Like they're not even green and white and other configuration. I wanted the other flags to look similar but be wrong, so that people had to do this more than once. And I think almost everybody. I don't know if you see. Yeah, no, it might be everybody.
Everyone got it right.
Everyone got it right, but everyone was like, I don't know what flag it is. How do I know? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Like, wait, did I see this flag before? And people were like, well, I kind of think I saw this flag earlier today. And I'm like, you literally had to find this flag like an hour ago. Like, this is ridiculous that people were so confused. My favorite moment of this roadblock, which you never see ever, is Michelle does it. And she is so hyped to be doing a heights challenge. She's like, oh my God, thank you so much for letting me do this. Like, everyone else is ready to vomit. And she is just like so super duper excited. I was laughing and so happy for her.
You and me both. I said, okay, now we understand why Lewis and Michelle, they fit so well together, because Michelle said, it's heights. Yes! I was like, oh my God.
Said nobody ever except Michelle, right? Like, this was hilarious to me.
And while she's doing the challenge, most people are like, don't look down, don't look down. Like, Michelle's gripe is, I actually couldn't really get in the view because like I had to make sure I finished the race. And then, Lewis is like, I don't even have anything to demonstrate, but like maybe this, like, because they had to be back. So he was like kind of like behind like the little bars. And Lewis was like, I'm so proud of you, mi amor. Kill it. We love you. And then Michelle is like, thank you for letting me do that.
They were just everything this episode. They were so much fun. And I want to root for them. Like, sometimes I kind of dislike like the overly positive people who just seem like they're a little bit mugging for television. I feel like these two, like I did, like forgot the cameras were there and just sort of are vibing off each other. And they were fantastic. So they're running away with this. They're in and out of the Detour, roadblock before anybody else shows up. And then they have to head.
Now is when they did the dance break. Now they was like dance break. And
they're flamencoing in their little dance break. Right. And then they run to the pit stop, which is at this Mirador Gardens in these pillars between Ernest Hemingway and Orson Welles. And you got to find Phil on a terrace to the pit stop. And they get to the pit stop first. They are so cute. They win a trip to Tokyo, and the trip looked really cool, like sushi classes and calligraphy and all sorts of really fun day trips. Anyway, they win the leg. Congratulations to them. We love them. Big fans. They're throwing a finale party in Miami.
Yes.
I'm thinking about going if I can make it work. You should go.
You should. Well, I'll be in DC for Brice and Wynn Presents, unfortunately. But yes, they did let me know because, I got some miles and I would have, done anything to go to support. But
if my little broken foot is out of its little broken boot, I'm going to consider going with maybe Eliza. Anyway, so we have Aubrey and David, and Derek and Claire then get to the roadblock next. They are terrified. Like, take Michelle's reaction and flip it 180 degrees, and you get Aubrey, and then you get Claire, who, if you flip Michelle's reaction, but like add anger, then you have Claire's reaction. So they went, okay, so I have another gripe because I said I'd have a bunch. they allowed them both to go at the same time. Now, I don't like that for a roadblock. Somebody should have to wait until the person in front of them finishes, and if they get it wrong, they should go to the back of the line. So I don't like when two people can go at the same time because they can help each other. And both of these very lovely and smart women who clearly were not paying attention earlier in the day were like, I don't know what flag did you choose? I'm not sure what to do. And I'm like, my mother from the other couch goes, how is nobody paying attention to the flags? I'm like, Dale, I get it. You would have paid attention to the flags. So Aubrey is saying to Claire, how are you doing? Are you okay? And Claire's like, bitch, shut up and don't talk to me. And Aubrey doesn't hear her. And she goes, what'd you say?
And Claire's like, shut up. But I don't know I know how you feel, but I appreciated that. Like sometimes you just gotta let people know. But in the same breath, I would have been Michelle. Like, I talked through my fears. I would have been like, because Michelle was like, okay, but talking was helping me. But I would have been Michelle. Like, I would have just been talking like, oh, what? Like, I just, yeah. So
I mean, you've seen my season. I never shut the hell up. Like, I was talking to stop signs and puppies and anything. I talked to everybody. I never stopped talking. So I would have been like Aubrey too, where I would have been like, you're fine. Just keep going. Just like psyching myself up. But Claire was not having that. So they get to the flags. They don't know what to choose. Aubrey's like, what are you choosing? And I'm going, there's one flag you've seen today. Like, you didn't have a flag challenge. Just, it's not that hard. Also, it's the only green flag, but whatever. So they both do it. They both get back. And then Claire loses her shit. Like, I felt for her so much. And this is what I wanted to say earlier. She just has this moment of like, I lived, thank God, but I did it and I got it correct. And like her emotions just like flooded out of her and she lost it. And I felt for her because I've had that moment. And I was very proud of her because when you have to overcome something like that you're so scared of and you do it and you're successful, like she had to get it out. Now, I sort of thought Derek was just sort of like, what, are you okay? Like, what's happening?
But and also to credit, sometimes like I'm a very nurturing and loving person, but when people unexpectedly, like, sometimes you really don't know what they need. And also Derek knows Claire the best. Maybe when Claire gets like that, she's the type of person that's like, get away from me. Like,
right.
So like,
maybe he didn't want to be snapped at.
But he's like,
I'm here for you. I love you. You're great. Like, but I still think they're really adorable. So so they go to the pit stop. Aubrey and David have their best finish yet and come in second place, and they are really like coming into their own. I on episode 2, 3, even 4, I would have been like, which Abby and Will? I mean, I think I was confused for way too long, but they're really doing great. They're really growing on me, especially David. I like the fact that he's like, we don't have to win them all. Everyone's doing great. Aubrey gets very excited when she's driving the car. They're just much more positive, happy people than the show led us to believe because they just weren't getting enough airtime. And now they are, because there's only 5 teams left and now 4. I like the fact that they're getting more airtime. I enjoy them. And then you have Derek and Claire, who came on the race to conquer their fears, and today they did. And then in 4th place, you have Emily and Molly. Emily, so last week we talked about the fact that if one person did one roadblock, it's usually the other person who has to do the other. In this mega leg, that wasn't the case because Emily did them both. I have no idea why they had Emily do this one. It might be because it also didn't involve running, but I can't imagine on that unstable wire that was very comfortable for her knee. But she did it. She did it fine. Everyone was like, which flag is it? I don't understand. And then you have Marcus and Michael who get there, and there we go. He's like chatty and casual and just having a nice time, just walking across very easily. He gets the flag.
They don't even show him winning. Like they first of all, they don't even they just show him on the rope. Okay, so I was like, oh, okay, we know what time it is.
Yeah,
like they just like.
Yeah, and so Emily and Molly get their 4th. They talk about how they're determined to spend more time together. I mean, they have a couple of central themes for them. I very much enjoy them. And then Marcus and Michael rolling last. I actually started to almost cry because Phil's like, Marcus, how do you feel? He's like, I just lost my brother $500,000. Like, that's like heartbreaking because they also never get to see each other. I know they weren't like long lost brothers, but both deployed in the army or the maybe different military branches. Actually, I don't want to say army because I don't think that's right. And they get to see each other like but once a year. And so this was the most time that they've got to spend together in a long time. Plus they're like 8 years apart. And so it's not like they grew up like together all the time. So I'm very, very sad to see them go. But we have a good Final Four teams. I'm very pleased with this. And so next week in leg 11, the second to last leg, the penultimate leg, which I always find to be like sometimes better than the last leg. So I'm very excited. It looks like they're going to Iceland, which is cool because, and one of the things when I went to Iceland, I didn't do and I wanted to do, I think they're in these cold suits. And so they're going to go cold diving because the water in Iceland is so freezing that you can't scuba dive in a regular wetsuit. You have to do like a dry suit. So it keeps in all of your heat. But it looks like a very fun, very exciting, very dramatic episode.
Yes, I love it. When I saw Iceland, I was like, yes, I've been 3 times. I love Iceland.
I've only been once. What month did you go in? I went in January and there was like no daylight.
I went in February because I went for my birthday, and then the other times I went in the spring. But yeah, when I landed in February, it was snowing and the snow was going like left and right, not up and down. I was like, oh my God, what did we get ourselves into? But yeah, like it was a lot. But I don't know why I love Iceland, but
it's cool. It looks like the moon in parts. It was I enjoyed it. I would have enjoyed it more in a month that had more than 3 hours of like somewhat daylight. That's just my thought for, future people who may go to Iceland. The beginning of January is not the best time.
The flights might be cheaper.
Right. And here's why.
But you still enjoy it. Well, yeah. Brookie, thank you so much for delivering another flawless, effortless pit stop for the Purple Pants Posse. We appreciate you. I hope that you have or have had an amazing Thanksgiving. Yeah. So, and we'll be back next week for another edition of the Purple Pants Podcast Pit Stop.
Thank you so much. Bye.
It's the Purple Pants, it's the Purple Pants, it's the Purple Pants Podcast. You better get your headphones and listen up quick. Ooh. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You better listen in public, might make your stomach hurt. Ooh. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to unwind, you better get that box wine. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to get your snack, you better hurry right back though. It's the Purple Pants, it's the Purple Pants.